Let's look at how to create a user. Select User Access from the menu. Not everyone in the practice will have access to this part of the dashboard. This will only be accessible for dashboard administrators. To create a new dashboard user, you need to select Create a User, and we're asked to complete some information. The user login is what will be used to access the dashboard when logging on. Here you could use the user's name or email address. Users are able to log on by using either their user logon details, which we're setting up here, or through their NHS email address. Next we're asked for the user's email, which is the user's NHS email address. Personal email addresses shouldn't be used here. Then we enter the user's first name. It might be useful to state the title when you're setting up a doctor. This makes it easier to differentiate between staff when you're setting up groups or assigning requests. And we enter the surname. Then after the name details, we're asked which role we would like to assign to the user, and we're given two options, user or administrator. These roles have different permission levels. A user will have slightly limited permissions. They can't set up new users or groups, change or reset passwords, and will only usually have access to see certain forms. Administrators are able to access all user controls and access all forms that come into the dashboard. Administrators are usually the roles in the practice that will be in charge of triaging the patient requests, such as the reception team or members of the administration team. Once all the details are complete, we can select Submit and we're taken back to the main user access screen. Let's say at this point we've realised we've made a spelling error. We can edit the user details by clicking on the user's display name. We can change any of their details here and even change their role, but we can't change the login name. There's also the option to delete the user if we wanted to. After making any changes, just be sure to select Submit. So we can see we've set up a new user, but at the moment they don't have any access to forms. To change this access, we could just click over here on No Forms, and this will take us to a list of all of the patient forms that are available. Now, in our example that we've just done, we've just set up an administrator who would usually be able to see all of the forms in the practice. But let's say, for example, that we're setting up a nurse, and we want the nurse to be able to see certain forms that come through to the dashboard. So we can just go through here, select the forms that we want the nurse to have access to. And let's say, for example, we want our nurse to see the asthma review form and the blood pressure review form. By doing this, the nurse will be able to see these forms as they come into the practice from patients. In a case where we're setting up an administrator, we want to be able to enable all access to all of the forms that come into the dashboard. And we can just select full access for that at the top here. Once we've done that, we just need to remember to select Save. And then when we go back to the user access page, you'll see the number of forms the user has access to here. As you can see on some of our other users on this page, they have access to no forms, and this isn't unusual. You may find that clinicians will not need to have access to forms, and this is because forms will be triaged and assigned to them by a member of the practice team. What that means is, even if a user hasn't got access to a form, they will still be able to see any forms that have been assigned to them. Forms access can be changed and edited at any time by a dashboard administrator.